Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Joy News today. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We're on DTT because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. Joy News, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Supreme Court asks to find Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin guilty of contempt and impose sanctions for allowing the House to consider the anti-LGBTQ bill despite pending court case. We have details for you. Also, Asen North MP Jachi Kwesin sets in motion multiple legal processes, including a fresh action at the Supreme Court in a bid to put his trial on hold. Plus, ECG disconnects a Zoomline outfit and a youth employment agency in Dambai, Volta region. We have details as a disconnection team scales up its Operation Zero exercise. We're live also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. It's at Joy News on TV. My personal handle is at Denana Aisha. Please stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. The Supreme Court is being asked to impose sanctions on the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, for allowing the House to proceed with the anti-LGBT bill despite pending legal actions. Researcher Dr. Amanda Odoi contends the Speaker has treated court processes with disdain and contempt. Dr. Odoi is one of two citizens who have sued the Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General over the anti-LGBT bill. She contends her checks show that the Speaker of Parliament has been served with all relevant court processes, including one asking the court to place an injunction on Parliament's consideration of the law. It will be recalled that Parliament last week wrapped up the second reading of the bill, bringing it a step closer to conclusion of processes on the controversial law. Legal Affairs correspondent Joseph Akable has more on this development.
So in fact, what the lawyers have done, the lawyers for Dr. Amanda Odoi, what they have done is that they actually wrote to the Supreme Court's registry asking that the court provides them with evidence indicating whether the registry has been able to serve the Speaker of Parliament and Attorney General with the court processes. They obtained a proof of service that indicates that, yes, the case itself, the substantive case against the anti-LGBT bill has been served on the Speaker of Parliament through a senior legal officer at his office. He again obtained evidence indicating that it has been served on the Attorney General's office as well. With respect to the application for injunction, we also received responses from the Supreme Court registry indicating that those processes have been served on the Speaker of Parliament. We also attached to the court documents indicating publications. One of such publications was done by myjoyonline.com, our own website, which has been attached to the court processes to indicate that, yes, despite processes, the Speaker proceeded to allow discussion on the bill to take place. And so they attached that, and in that particular story, reference is made to the fact that there are two pending cases in court against the anti-gay bill. It does not provide the specifics of the nature of the punishment that they believe should be imposed, except to make the point that it's important that the court stamps its authority and indicates to all Ghanaians that due process is the nature of legal processes here in Ghana, and that the Speaker of Parliament has consistently conducted himself in a manner that, as far as they are concerned, shows a clear disregard and contempt for the court and its processes. And so they want the appropriate sanctions to be imposed by the apex court of the land. He again make the point in terms of when exactly this will be dealt with. In terms of the process that has been filed, is to be dealt with on the 19th of July. Interestingly, that is the same day that they are supposed to move the application for injunction at the Supreme Court as well. It is important to state that per our checks, the Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General are yet to file any responses to the substantive case that has been filed as well.
That was Joseph Akable with those updates. Let's stick with Parliament because former Majority Leader Cletus Avoka is leading the fierce opposition to efforts to repeal the death penalty. Under Ghanaian law, the offense of murder carries a death penalty. But since 1992, no conviction murderer has been killed. Cletus Avoka says the argument in support of the reform is sparse. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, though, listen to sponsor of the private members bill seeking to amend that law, MP for Medina Francis Susu, on why this change is necessary.
Mr. Speaker, the very last execution in Ghana happened on the 17th of July, 1993, where 12 men were killed by firing squad. Mr. Speaker, the current position of Ghana is that we are abolitionists de facto, or abolitionists in practice. Mr. Speaker, this is so because since 1993 to date, Ghana has not signed a death warrant to execute anyone. Mr. Speaker, in these engagements, we have had several consensus. For example, a political consensus. A political consensus because the then administration of the NDC began this process, and as soon as this bill was laid in Parliament, the current government, led by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, also has openly endorsed the position of the bill. And this year, the President voted at the UN in favor of the resolution to end the use of death penalty. All the consensus that we have built over the years supports the fact that it is time for Ghana to amend its laws so that it can align with our practices.
His bill has received support from Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, which has recommended the passage of the bill. Bernard Ahiafo is ranking member on the committee.
Life lost can never be regained. And there is a judicial principle of it's better you leave 99% guilty person free than to convict one innocent person. Assuming the death penalty is carried out, it means the person is going to be executed to death by either hanging or firing squad. Committee is recommending to the House to adopt its report and pass the death penalty bill into law. Death penalty should be replaced with life imprisonment. The responsibility now rests on Parliament to take the necessary actions. After extensive consultation, the committee is of the view that continuous retention of the death penalty in the criminal statute makes a mockery of justice, and the mere fact that for almost 3 decades, presidents of the Republic have found it unnecessary to sign execution warrants is an indication that Ghana does not need the law.
We can now listen to Cletus Avoka and Habib, who have been opposing the change being requested by Francis Susu.
They have advanced this evening in favor of the motion are very spurious and have no merit at all. The arguments in favor of the motion are unmeritorious, very, very unmeritorious. Besides that, Mr. Speaker, it's a very lopsided argument that they have advanced this evening. They have not addressed the two sides of the coin. Mr. Speaker, this issue, the first point that they canvass is the point of uncertainty, judicial uncertainty. What is perfect on this earth that we think that the judiciary should have been perfect? What is perfect? 2 a.m., an intruder comes into my house. He climbs a ladder. He goes to look for a ladder that comes into my house, climbs up, breaks open my door and window, then kills me. Or if before then, he would have raped my wife, my partner lying with me. While I'm looking at it, he's raping my wife. Then, as if that is not enough, he takes my life and he kills me. Then this man has human rights. He has a human right. I have no human right. He should come and take my life within 30 minutes. He has truncated me to the next one. I have no right. And he has a right to live. What right? What right, Mr. Speaker? Please.
Honourable member.
Definitely we need to leave this so that it will be a deterrent to others. Speaker, both Muslims and Christians, we all believe in the eye for an eye. But in certain instances where you will see that, or you are very much aware that if I kill somebody, I will still be alive. People end up ending people's lives or shortening people's life with the excuse that if I end your life, I wouldn't be killed. I think that for the fact that no president or for a while, we have not been able to execute anybody, we should still leave this in our books. We should leave it because it will serve as a deterrent to others. We should leave it because society has responsibility to look, or an obligation to look after the welfare of its citizens. So it should not be a case that because one or two misfortunes might happen, it should always be the case that if you kill somebody or end somebody's life, they also have families and their lives also matters. You should not be killed, or you should allow to go into prison for life.
Now, Asin North MP James Dachi has set in multiple motions, legal processes, including a fresh action at the Supreme Court in a bid to put his trial on hold. He's demanding additional documents from state prosecutors to fully understand the case against him, as well as asking that his day-to-day trial be received. Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame is, however, accusing the legislature of engaging in a plot to prevent the court from hearing the case at all costs. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Joseph Akable has joined us. Akable, tell us about the latest court processes. Right, Joseph Akable is legal affairs correspondent. He will be joining us shortly with more on this, but it's about a motion that has been set in place, multiple legal processes by Asin North MP Jachi. Joseph Akable, if you're on, tell us about the latest court processes.
And so there are two separate legal processes. One is at the Court of Appeal, the other is at the Supreme Court. The one that is at the Court of Appeal is in respect of the decision of the court that indicated that the trial will be heard on a day-to-day basis. He has filed an application at the Court of Appeal, but he's additionally asking the Court of Appeal to restrain the High Court from proceeding to deal with the case. The one at the Supreme Court, it has to do with a process that has been filed in respect of some disclosures that were carried out by the Attorney General. This has to do with documents that the Attorney General has indicated the prosecution will be relying on as evidence against James Jachi. Mr. Kwesi's lawyers take the view that they do not have the full complement of those documents. The High Court disagreed, but they are asking the Supreme Court to intervene and quash the decision of the High Court that they have the full complement and direct that the document should be made available to them. The Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame did indicate that as far as he's concerned, he believes that it's part of a grand scheme to simply prevent the court from dealing with this particular case. So as a result, he urged the court to disregard this particular application and allow the case to proceed. The judge has decided to deliver a ruling on the matter on the 18th of July.
The court had reason to actually caution the lawyers in the case, Chachi Chikata and Godfred Dame, from having a go at each other. Tell us about that.
So what happened today was that at the start of proceedings, Alfred Yeboah, who is a Deputy Attorney General, announced himself as a lawyer for the prosecution. Then Mr. Chikata indicated that he was representing the side of Mr. Kwesi. In the course of the court proceedings, the Attorney General joined, and he subsequently rose and addressed the court in response to the arguments that had been made by Mr. Chikata. So when he was done, Mr. Chikata came in and pointed out that he thinks it is contrary to the practice that a lawyer comes in when proceedings have started and has not announced himself and has not apologized but proceeds to address the court. And so he thought that that was improper. And so he was drawing the Attorney General's attention to that particular anomaly. But the AG quickly shot in and said that If it is his name that Mr. Chikata wants to hear, then he can proceed to mention his name for him to hear. But the court needs to note that Mr. Chikata, even when he announces himself, has never mentioned his name in the courtroom. It was at that point that the judge came in and said that you respectfully ask that all sides keep to the legal issues before the court and desist from making such comments which he believes does not really help the court determine the key legal issues that are before it.
Akable, we know that the minority MPs have indicated they will show up in court to support their own. Are all 137 at the High Court as we speak?
Definitely not 137. In fact, I counted about 20 of them, led by the minority leader himself, Dr. Kasiel Atoforsin, the deputy minority leader, Emmanuel Amakufibua, the chief whip, Kwame Abuja, as well as other members of parliament like Samuel Okupetu, all showing up. Francis Abishi, the MP, also coming to support James Jachibwese here in court.
Were there some ministers as well?
Interestingly, the Minister for Trades and Industry, Katie Hammond, came in to the courtroom. There was also the Minister for Transport, Kweko Fori Esiama. It's unclear why the Transport Minister came to the court, but for Katie Hammond, we know that there's an application here at the court asking that he's held in contempt for certain comments that he had made about this particular proceedings. That matter is supposed to be dealt with on the 19th of July. But when he came in, he told his colleagues on the minority side that they have brought him to the courtroom, so he's here to observe what has been going on in the courtroom.
Joseph Akable is our legal affairs correspondent, bringing us update from the court. Away from the court, the Electricity Company of Ghana has disconnected power supply to offices belonging to Zoom Lion Parks and Garden and that of a youth employment, all located in Dambai in the Volta region. The whole office of the Parks and Garden was also disconnected for engaging in illegal power connections. Back here in Accra, Cabinet is considering the restructuring of all public enterprises and entities with the government's interest. The move seeks to liquidate lists on the Ghana Stock Exchange and look for the strategic investment to make them profitable. The Minister for Public Enterprises, Joseph Kujo, said already 17 dysfunctional state entities which are beyond redemption have been disposed of and indicated that the remaining 175 will have to undergo restructuring to make them competitive. The minister, who spoke on Joy News, advised against politicizing decisions to enhance the performance of state-owned enterprises.
They are beyond redemption. These 117 are even outside the 175.
Okay.
So if you were to add them, there would have been 192 on the books. These ones go into private hands. Let private capital invest in them. They are all for commercial purposes. And then the 175, a lot of restructuring is taking place. Like you said, they have to attain profitability. Are you getting me? So that is the drive there. Those that we believe that must be listed on the stock market, like how GOIL, GOIL is listed. And how GCB Bank, it was Ghana Commercial Bank, 100% owned, but listed, and today it's really performing well. When it comes to the private sector, these things are tools or corporate decisions at their disposal every day. And when you see the giant corporates, these are decisions every day that you have. Let's say a giant, let me use yours, this is multimedia here. Right. You would have different divisions, different divisions. Sometimes you may want to enter into a new area which will bring in more revenue. Sometimes you want to hive off a business which you think somebody may have better expertise to do it better, so you sell off. You sell off and use the capital to do what you do best and which is more profitable to you so that you can expand. So it should be the case that we should be passionate and rational in these decisions rather than political-driven discussions.
The minister is appealing to private investors to come to the rescue of ailing state enterprises.
Private enterprise, we need you. We need private capital. We need private capital to complement government policy in every space of the economic activities we have. We need private capital, and we need adequate private capital. There's so much economic opportunities available to every private investor. Bring in the right technologies, bring in adequate capital, and invest in the various sectors of the economy. From housing to communications, digitalization, we need a lot of infrastructure too. To automobile, I don't know what sector of the economy is not requiring investment. But it is private capital that will do, so that government would also use our tax revenues to focus on roads, hospitals, schools, securities, exactly.
The construction of a health facility initiated by the Assembly member for KO electoral area in Kumasi has been abandoned for almost 5 years. The clinic situated at the Krobo Dumasi market has been left for occupation by squatters as the community yearned for increased access to health care. There is more in the following report.
A former Assembly member of KO electoral area, Alexander Safokese, initiated the construction of a clinic and police station in 2018. He self-financed the project in fulfillment of a promise to residents while he was campaigning to go to the assembly. The KMA, acknowledging the importance of the project, prioritized the police station and reimbursed the assemblyman to take over the project. However, the one-story building serving as a clinic has been left to rot after the assembly member lost his seat. Second-hand clothes sellers now use part of the structure for trading. But the traders are anxious to see the completion of the health facility to support their health needs.
The risks involved in our operations is high. The hospital could have given us first aid.
I don't think she anytime in case I serious.
The abandoned clinic also serves as an apartment for some, and other food vendors have turned the space as a abode to prepare their food. A corn miller also occupies part of the structure for business, and at the back of the structure are scattered cooking utensils. The squatters say the rooms get flooded anytime it rains. They fear the building would collapse with no intervention.
This is where we sleep, but it gets flooded anytime it rains. The building looks weak, and we fear for our lives.
Still in the Ashanti region, commuters in Kumasi have decried the rampant exploitation by commercial transport operators who arbitrarily hike fares during rush hour. They are hoping for an efficient operation of the bus rapid transport system to ease the monopoly of trotro operators. The following report by Anita Sewa Ajoga looks at the state of public transport system in Greater Kumasi.
During rush hours, some commercial intercity transport operators, known popularly as Trotro, increase their fares by almost 100%. Stranded commuters pay more to board vehicles and spend hours in traffic.
The fare is 3 cedis, but they add another 3 cedis, and that's our problem. We hope the buses would be available in future.
1-2 plus na mama onko na bus no so okofa bus no a bus no e ticket na wotwa won ya twa we na wotina mu a ono ayem se ono yesene trotro no.
Anytime it rains, the prices are increased, but the BRT maintains the same price.
And Drew, so I went to me boy and quadra line. About line, the competition, but you wait to imagine by 3 hours and 2 hours.
A drain of fire bar, 5 cities, 4 cities. A drain you know, one will do 7 cities. A boy also will do the runabout 3 cities. Carba, police of 4 friends at local do Kenya.
The trotro drivers change the transport fare in the evening, and we want something to be done about it.
Problem na baka no it depend e bedru fee person ko ye duane eti abaka na ye shadam.
The private minibuses compete with the 33 vehicles currently under the Bus Rapid Transport Fleet managed by the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. But the poor public bus transport system remains a challenge to the BRT operations. Branch manager of BRT Ayalolu, Samson Edulabi, says commuters prioritize their services mostly during rush hours.
Public transport challenges in Kumasi basically has got to do with our parking lots or parking places at the main CBD where we load the passengers, and then also the road network in Kumasi. Our buses, as you can see, are available, but we don't have dedicated bus lanes where these buses will have to commute to the main CBD. So we are all competing with the other private mini buses, popularly called the trotro. And then when we get to the CBD proper, that is the Central Market and the Doom, we don't have even a parking space, let alone a loading point. So we're barely able to go and spend time to load for passengers. And because of that, during the non-peak hours, our buses have to retire back to the depot and park, as you can see here. So that during the peak hours after 4:30, 3:30 to 5, 6, they will go to the CBD and pick the passengers.
Providing transport infrastructure and reducing barriers to travel could serve as an important strategy for reducing transport poverty. Urban transport planner and resettlement specialist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Michael Pokubuensi, wants the government to put in drastic interventions to prevent transport poverty in the greater Kumasi metropolis.
Our BRT system started at the same time as our counterparts in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. Whilst Ghana's project could not see the light of day, the project in Tanzania became a success and currently has 305 buses, carries 300,000 passengers daily, and became the first African city to win the Sustainable Transport Award in 2018. Deducing from the outcome of these two initiatives of the government of Ghana, it will not be far-fetched to conclude that transport poverty is going to stay with us for a very long time to come, unless some drastic interventions are carefully planned and implemented.
The World Bank, after visibility studies, has approved a bus rapid system that will be implemented in Greater Kumasi. Mr. Edulabi noted the new road and car designs will conform to the new standards.
We have passed through the feasibility studies with the World Bank. And in this situation, the World Bank came down and invited all stakeholders, transport operators, urban roads, and all the engineers. So they have come to actually identify our current problem or current situation. And they are incorporating all the needs into the new BRT that they are bringing. So they are bringing on board new road designs that will conform to the new standard. And even the buses we are going to use are also going to be redesigned to suit the cultural behavior of our people here. So this gives me a relief that if we have life, then Kumasi will see the light in future.
The BRT operations will access a dedicated route for the buses, including a terminal at Sokoban, to operate fully in Greater Kumasi. For Joy News, Anita Sewajuga's report read to you.
Recent findings conducted by the World Bank has revealed that 50% of 10-year-old students in developing countries struggle with literacy. A post-COVID assessment revealed that this figure has declined to a concerning 70%. Managing Director of Operations for the World Bank, Anna Bijede, shared the outcome of this investigation on a visit to the New Municipal Basic 1 school to assess the progress of the Ghana Accountability for Learning Outcome Project Gallup. There's more in this report.
The Ghana Accountability for Learning Outcome Project Gallup is an initiative founded by the World Bank. The project supports 10,500 schools nationally. The World Bank Managing Director of Operations, Anna Bijede, as part of her visit to Ghana, went to the Wejakbawe Municipal Assembly Basic 1 School, one of the beneficiaries of the Gallup project. She expressed concern about the inability of pupils and students in developing countries to comprehend what they read.
So before COVID, we were tracking data of 10-year-old children to see how many 10-year-old children in the world had a difficult time reading a story that was appropriate for their age and understanding it fully. For developing countries, low-income and low-middle-income countries around the world, 57% of those 10-year-olds actually had difficulty. That was a high number, we felt, and gave us a reason before COVID to really focus and continue to focus on education and learning, actually trying to quantify and understand whether children were learning. After COVID, we have reassessed that number, and it's not a good outcome. We now put the number at 70%. 7 out of 10 children at age of 10 have a hard time reading a story and fully comprehending it.
Deputy
The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, has emphasized the need for plantation development and policies initiated by former Prime Minister under the Second Republic, Professor Kofi Abrefa Busia. He believes Busia's initiatives, including the introduction of tea tree plantation in Ghana, have become indispensable tools for the country's current development efforts. He was speaking at a symposium to celebrate the 11th 110th birth anniversary of Professor J.A. Busia.
The Busia Symposium, which recently took place at the African Regent Hotel in Accra, was a celebration of the incredible impact of Professor K.A. Busia. The event aimed to highlight the continued relevance of Busia's visionary ideas in our modern society. Speaking at the event, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, emphasized the significant influence of Busia's policy, particularly in the area of plantation development.
As far back as 1970, the far-sighted Dr. Busia had embarked on plantation development under his government's Rural Development Program. And to promote this plantation development, Dr. Busia focused on the renowned premium tropical timber, known in the scientific world as Tectona grandis, but commonly referred to as teak. The objectives of the program, among others, ladies and gentlemen, were to create employment, protect the environment, and foreign exchange by way of lumber for export, and provide fodder for livestock. Apart from these, Dr. Busia had anticipated that transporting electricity cables on wooden poles will be cheaper and better than concrete ones, and teak will be a very critical tool to this electrification program. At the time, this might have sounded too far a vision to realize, since teak takes about 10 years to mature. Today, millions of our people are enjoying the fruits of Busia's foresight in using teak to transmit electricity.
Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Kweku Efriye, lauded the late Prime Minister for his unwavering dedication towards addressing women-related issues.
He was one of the first people to realize women issues and put it at the core of our development. For example, he made maternity leave compulsory. And then he introduced family planning, not because he wanted to fundamentally to check our population, but to make sure that women's health are protected. This is one domain the left have appropriated. We should not cede it to the political left. In fact, it was FTSI who gave Professor Sai, who made sure that this was realized.
Executive Director of the Busia Institute, Anani Ejei, indicated that the institute is working towards building an academic museum in honor of the late Prime Minister.
We're still live on Joy News today. We are coming from our studios in Kokomlemi on the Fanofa streets. Let's take a break. When we return, there's more in business.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kojobaka. Minister of Trade and Industry, Katie Hammond, has assured that concerns of tax waivers and challenges in securing government support for One District, One Factory project will be addressed soon. According to him, the president has tasked a team in Parliament to deal with the challenge, which has become a hindrance to the industrialization policy. Mr. Hammond pledged that the tax component of the program will be reviewed.
One of the facilities that we provide under the 1D, 1F program is to ensure that companies are provided with exemptions from various taxations, waivers, and the lot. In the last couple of years, there have been considerable challenges in Parliament as to this particular process of granting the exemptions. We're working on it. The President tasked myself and the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Leader of the House, Waseche Mensah-Bonsu, to make sure that this matter is completely streamlined. We intend to see the Speaker about it, and I hope that will make some progress. It's not only this, there's quite a few of them which are all choked up in the system. We will hope to get them sorted out.
Now, global shipping industry accounts for 3% of worldwide greenhouse gas emission. However, as many economies bounce back post-COVID-19 pandemic, the emission of pollutants are expected to rise to 17% by 2050. In view of this, Ghanaian port authorities have been urged to explore ways of cutting down on significant pollution at its harbors and airport as part of the global push to tackle climate change. Blessed Sogam visited the port of Auckland in the United States of America, where authorities aim to zero emissions in the coming years.
This may look like a simple ship cruise from afar, but activities of thousands of these machines around the world account for 3% of global gas emissions. And as trading increases post the COVID-19 pandemic, that figure is certainly set to see a significant rise to about 17% by 2050. Alarmed at the likely impact of these toxic gases on global warming, port authorities at Oakland in California in the United States of America say they are going green. The Bay Area, which has unique jurisdiction over air and seaports in San Francisco, would usually see over 2 million cargoes cleared from its seaports in a year with heavy dependence on fossil fuel. But that may no longer be the case. Here at the Port of Oakland, we meet Executive Director Danny Wan as he explains how the transformation is taking place.
We're happy to say that the Port of Oakland is unique among ports because we are the export port. So that's something that's unique about the Port of Oakland. We are very excited, and there's a brochure in your package about the fact that we are on the forefront of converting ports into zero emissions, using green technology and green energy instead of petrol.
Port authorities indicate to Joy News that this forms part of the global push aimed at tackling climate change.
Globally, shipping accounts for 3% of greenhouse gas emissions. But as trade expands around the world, that figure is set to increase by 17% by the year 2050. As part of its effort to go green, the Port of Oakland, California, in the United States of America, says it is setting a target of zero gas emissions in the coming years.
So how can developing countries such as Ghana convert to green energy?
So I think for the developing countries, it's a very exciting time to get involved in that dialogue, and to both, because right now people are looking for places that are willing to adopt these technologies. And like I said, many times with subsidies involved. So I think this is the time for a lot of developing countries to get involved in a dialogue and actually figure out where their place is in that. Yeah, of course, COVID had an effect on everybody. I think financing is going to be a challenge for everybody. But like I said, I think a lot of the governments, especially I'll just speak for the United States, is willing to invest in that, and that technology can be transferable.
Leza Sukan's report for Joy News, San Francisco, California.
And here in the studios of Joy News, I am Pius Kojobaka, ending the business on Joy News Today. Sports is next.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News. Here now, multiple award-winning dancehall and reggae artist Somini has disclosed his decision to release an album to celebrate his completion of studies at Gimpa. Speaking to Joy Prime's Ibrahim Bembako, Somini says it is a good way to come back after 3.5 years off the music scene.
I did a few things. I dropped an EP while in school. The Burning EP, I did that in school. That had a fear on the track Picture. So that EP, I did that. I also dropped the single Abundance. I also dropped the reggae single. What's that reggae single again? The last one I just dropped. See, my mind inside all make plenty. So cool. Yeah. That is off the Sticks and Locks EP.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I've been trying to stay active, at least keep my fans engaged. And of course, as the SRC president who qualified for vetting with the right GPA, I couldn't afford to start going downhill. Then it's going to affect my graduation. And lo and behold, my papers are good, and I'm graduating on the 28th of this month.
Well, that's good. Congratulations on that. So it means 3.5 years. Even though you did some works, but you held a lot of you back.
Yep.
Are you ready to unleash now?
Yep.
And going to unleash, what is going to be the roadmap for Samini now that all high graders out there know that you're done with school? What's going to be the roadmap?
Expect a lot of exciting stuff. Of course, I'm going to record an album to celebrate the comeback, and then a lot of exciting stuff. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but expect a lot of exciting stuff. I'm fully ready, and my mind is well concentrated on the art now that I know the books is behind me, even though school is not over yet, because I still have a few other things that I would like to pursue in the academics area.
Still on music, Raphael Talk says venturing into music has had a huge impact on his life in the short time that he has been in the industry. Speaking on Daybreak Hits FM, Yao Talk revealed that he became the breadwinner of his family at the age of 20.
Oh yeah, music moved me and my family out of the hood.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a big achievement for me. Music got me let's say a farmland.
Wow.
Yeah, that I'm working on.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a whole lot. So music changed my life.
That'll be all for Showbiz here on Joy News today. There's more Showbiz news in our subsequent bulletins. Good afternoon.
News, and that's it also for the bulletin this afternoon. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. You'll find more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.